Has the Webb telescope discovered evidence of intelligent life out there in the universe? An unpublished Harvard paper suggests it very may well have. That was the tease that NBC Nightly News was using for a story that it was airing later in its broadcast. Notice how clever that tease is. It strongly implies that intelligent life has been found, and it's been found by the latest advance in technology, the Webb telescope, and it's been found at or through an elite Ivy League school, Ivy League University. The evidence is contained in an unpublished paper from Harvard University. But when NBC News actually got around to airing that news story, the professor who supposedly is behind this unpublished paper, the scientist behind it, was at pains to emphasize that even though the Webb telescope has already produced some remarkable images, that there's absolutely no definitive, no credible, no indisputable proof that intelligent life exists yet in the universe. Even though he believes the Webb telescope gives us the capacity, the ability to discover that intelligent life, and he thinks it will. As of now, he was at pains to emphasize, all of that is pure speculation. It would be awesome, amazing, thrilling if we found evidence of intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. By the way, if you're worried that that might be a threat to Christian faith, or if you're hoping it will be the death knell of Christian faith, let me assure you, or disappoint you, that the discovery of intelligent life somewhere else in the universe is no threat at all to Christian faith. If you want to know more about that, look into that. I strongly recommend a book called Would You Baptize an Extraterrestrial? It's by two Vatican astronomers who also happen to be Jesuits. One's a Jesuit priest, one's a Jesuit brother. So they're both Christians, Catholic Christians, believers. But in that book, they spend an entire chapter explaining how intelligent life elsewhere in the universe poses no threat at all to the Christian worldview. And in fact, they argue it actually would enrich and enhance the Christian worldview. Both of these Vatican astronomers also admit that for most of their lives, ever since they got interested in science, they have longed for the discovery of intelligent life elsewhere. So they really want to find it. It would thrill them to no end. But they go on to emphasize that as of now, right now in the history of science, there is absolutely no credible, indisputable evidence, definitive evidence of intelligent life anywhere else in the universe. See, if you're going to follow the science, then you have to admit that right now, the idea that there's intelligent life elsewhere in the universe is simply wishful thinking. It's pure speculation. And yet, I'm amazed at how many very intelligent, scientifically minded people, scientists themselves, who will say that they truly believe that there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. They think there's no doubt that intelligent life exists somewhere else in the universe. And more than that, what amazes me is that these true believers believe that this intelligent life that exists out there is far more advanced than we are. I wonder, I have to ask, what reason do they have, what evidence do they have for thinking that if there is intelligent life elsewhere in the universe, it would be more intelligent, more advanced, more evolved and enlightened than we are? How do we know that it isn't just as messed up, if not even more messed up than we are? That's a huge leap of faith. See, if you're following the science, then you have to admit that the evidence is stacked not in favor of intelligent life, but against it. And here's why. There's two key reasons, two key things about our scientific endeavors over the past several decades that make this the case. In 1966, Carl Sagan issued two parameters, what he believed were the two things essential for life to exist somewhere else in the universe. The first was the right kind of star, and the second was the right distance from that star. Based on the number of planets that scientists, astronomers had already discovered existed in the universe, there was like a septillion chance to one that we would find intelligent life elsewhere. There were roughly, they estimated, a septillion planets, that's a 1 with 24 zeros behind it, a septillion planets that had the potential to be the right star and the right distance from the right star, and therefore qualify for producing intelligent life. And that launched an incredible, fervent movement that was funded both with public funds and private funds to seek out and find this life, to use all the technology that we had available to us to discover evidence of this intelligent life somewhere else in the universe, this extraterrestrial intelligent life. And yet, in the intervening years, and here's the first thing, in the intervening years, despite this momentous effort, despite all the time and energy and technology that has been put into this, all the science that has done around us, there has been absolutely zero evidence, zero credible evidence of any kind of extraterrestrial life. It's true that there are many UFO sightings all the time, but over 90% of those UFO sightings turn out to be able to be explained in a very terrestrial way. They have a very simple explanation, much like the Chinese spy balloon when it came into United States airspace, and then there were several other mysterious balloons that invaded our airspace that we eventually shot down. And at the time, many people were speculating they could be UFOs. They could be actual evidence of intelligent life elsewhere. But there were basic explanations, simple explanations that are much more reasonable to accept. So even though over 90% of the UFO sightings have, very natural, very simple explanations, the few that can't be explained, the images that have been captured that will probably never be able to be definitively determined, most people who analyze them, sober-minded people who analyze them, even though they want to find extraterrestrial life, they will reluctantly admit that the soundest conclusion is that the ones that we can't definitively identify are most likely just like the majority that we find simple basic explanations to. So as of now, there's absolutely no definitive, indisputable evidence of intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. But the second thing, and this is far more important, far more significant, is that when Carl Sagan issued those two parameters in 1966, we have discovered so much more about our universe. And the more that we discover at a rapidly accelerating rate about our universe, the more parameters we're discovering, the more criteria we're discovering are necessary to sustain intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. So from Carl Sagan's 2 in 1966, scientists discovered that there needed to be 10, and then 20, and then 50 parameters. And today, right now, it's 200, over 200 different parameters and counting. And that changes the odds quite drastically. In fact, now, instead of it being like a septillion to 1 that we should find intelligent life, the probability that we will is actually a negative probability. The thing that perplexes scientists most is not how much intelligent life exists out in the universe, but why there's any intelligent life at all, including us. The probability that life should exist in any form, like here on Earth, has a negative probability now attached to it, given what we know is necessary for intelligent life to come into existence and for it to then be sustained. So scientifically, if you're just analyzing this, if you're looking at the odds, the probabilities, given what we know about the universe and what we continue to discover every single day with every new discovery, the odds that there is intelligent life anywhere else in the universe, the odds that we should be here in the universe, are becoming less and less. It's becoming much more of a staggering negative probability against the existence of any kind of intelligent life. That's simply the science. So if you're following the science, then you have to admit that the chances of there being intelligent life elsewhere in the universe are extremely, incredibly, momentously low. But it's amazing how many people who are claimed to be scientific thinkers, claim to be very intelligent people who want to follow the science, who remain true believers that there has to be intelligent life somewhere else in the universe. Despite all this evidence, this tsunami of evidence, they maintain that there has to be intelligent life elsewhere. And that makes me want to ask, who's more gullible? Christians are often accused of being gullible simpletons, to believe this myth of a God, an invisible God, a heavenly Father who watches over you and is going to give you eternal life after you die. Often Christians are accused of being gullible for believing that myth. But many scientifically minded people are believing the myth, the wishful thinking, the pure speculation that there's intelligent life elsewhere in the universe. They're convinced it exists, and in many ways they're placing their hope in the fact that it exists so that it can in some way save us, save humanity from the mess that we're in. So I want to ask, who's more gullible? In fact, there have been sociological studies that show that Christians, on average, in statistically significant ways, tend to be far less gullible. Not just when it comes to things like UFOs, believing in UFOs, but also in things like paranormal activity, the occult, psychics, astrology, even Bigfoot. Christians statistically score much lower in believing in all of those things and being gullible in believing in all of those things than their irreligious, non-religious counterparts. So again, I want to ask, who is more gullible? When it comes to believing in intelligent life elsewhere in the universe, as wonderful as it would be to find it, as affirming as it would be for the Christian worldview, as much as Christians can and perhaps even should desire it, the scientific reality, if you're following the science, is that there is little to no chance that it actually exists. And that the greatest wonder of all in science is that we actually exist, that we're here. And so if you look at the Christian worldview, the only thing that makes you gullible is if you accept the modern myth that it in itself is simply a myth, that it is just wishful thinking, pure speculation, without first investigating it for yourself. Because one of the things that would undergird the Christian worldview scientifically in a very powerful way, it's just the first step in many, but one of the most basic things in establishing that there is an intelligent creator, a God who really is out there and made us with some kind of specific purpose in mind, is the fact that we exist in the first place. It's the fine-tuning argument, which I don't have time to go into here right now, but which provides incredible evidence, and every day more and more evidence, for the reality of a theistic God, the kind of God that Christians say that they believe in. So again, I ask, who's more gullible? And I encourage you not to be gullible in accepting the myth, the modern myth about Christianity as simply wishful thinking. Investigate it for yourselves. Find out for yourselves. Follow the science when it comes to the Christian faith. So what do you think about intelligent life elsewhere in the universe? Do you believe it exists? What do you think about what science says about that today? What the present state of science is? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can go to the Contact DJ page of the Raising Jesus website and leave them there. I look forward to hearing from you.